right, joined now by CBS Sports Radio's Jay Berman. Jay, good to have you in studio.
Steve, thanks for having me.
Great to talk to you once again, and we're going to talk a little everything here, all right?
Why not?
Let's start with the NFL, and tomorrow is going to be some nice divisional matchups.
Yeah.
What is the matchup, maybe the individual matchup that maybe you're looking forward to seeing most in tomorrow's game?
Well, obviously, Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, two very similar type quarterbacks that we all love watching. It's a 15-1 team against possibly the hottest team. That's a matchup we like to see. And, of course, Big Ben for the Steelers against the Broncos defense. That should be good, despite the fact that he has essentially no weapons.
I was going to, yeah, and his main weapon, his right arm, might not actually be attached to him by tomorrow's
I don't think we know exactly how close to maybe 75% Ben is going to be.
Right. Maybe they can create like some sort of a bionic arm for him tomorrow. I don't know.
As long as it's out of a sling, I'm sure Ben will be able to play. He's tough.
These are going to be some pretty good games here. Obviously, Seattle versus the Panthers, the Steelers, and the Broncos. Is there a Super Bowl champion in that foursome right there?
I guess the best thing to say would probably be, the best choice would probably be Carolina, just because they were 15-1. But I think, and you might agree with me, I think it might be one of the softer 15-1.
They feel like a paper tiger, don't they?
We have seen one seeds go down before, often, in fact.
Oh, the playoffs are strewn with littered corpses of one seeds.
I would not, and I think you agree with me, I would not be surprised to see the Seahawks win. It's the best team all season versus the hottest team at this point in time, and I think Seattle could win this.
They just have a little bit of magic.
They do.
They have magic, and sometimes it's the crazy plays, even a fumble turned into a big 35-yard gain, sometimes a missed kick might help you out a little bit. All right, this week, I want to highlight, you're big on social media. You love to tweet people, and you respond to everybody, and you like to stir things up.
I do.
You do seem to like to be the guy that stirs the pot. So you tweeted something out. You said the only sports town worse than St. Louis is Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, here it goes.
You really believe this, then?
I do believe this, and Met fans remember this because the entire run of the Braves in the 90s, when they won 13, 14, however many division titles in a row, frequently the Braves would not sell out playoff games, many playoff games. And it's hard to believe in a town like New York ever not selling out a playoff game. But more specifically, in St. Louis and in Atlanta, each city got two cracks at one sport. Yeah. Atlanta got two cracks at hockey. St. Louis got two cracks at football. And to me, that's absurd. You shouldn't get more than one, let alone two.
And you're never going to see the NFL back in St. Louis.
No, and you're never going to see hockey in Atlanta.
You're never going to see hockey in Atlanta once again. All right, so let's give you a little hypothetical here. Yeah. You're an owner. Let's just say, this past week you won the $1.3 billion jackpot, $1.7 billion jackpot. You are a new franchise owner, and you get to pick your expansion city from all of the available expansion cities. Where are you going first?
Well, look, there's a lot of states that have multiple teams. I know we discussed maybe Texas, maybe Florida. You certainly don't want to get too crowded, but as the Raiders, have discussed, San Antonio is certainly a possibility. They have a stadium there, and that part of Texas doesn't necessarily have a big following for pro teams. I guess San Antonio would be a good one.
It's a smaller market, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You would actually have a bigger market if you moved the team to Mexico City.
Yeah, well, I think London...
Does that matter?
Well, I think London would happen before Mexico City.
Oh, my God.
My concern for those cities is drawing free agents. Who's going to want to take their family over there? And I think there's three ways to make a team good. You can draft well, you can trade well, or you can... sign free agents. You can draft well and you can trade well when you're in London. I don't know how you're getting free agents. How are you getting free agents to bring their families over there half the year? Seems like a far trip, doesn't it?
Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, look, you can take someone to Trafalgar Square a couple of times, and then what?
Right.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Giants. And we saw the smiles, we saw the handshakes. But how confident do you think that Giants ownership is in Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese right now?
If you made me choose between the two, I would say Mara and Tisch have more confidence in McAdoo. It seems like this is a put up or shut up season coming up in 2016 for Reese. I think many Giant fans thought it should have been not only Coughlin gone, but Reese gone, which makes me think McAdoo has a firmer grasp on the job, even though he just got it.
I was going to say they didn't seem too excited about the whole thing.
No.
It was almost like, well, it was a process. Somebody asked him, what are you excited about with Ben McAdoo? Well, it was a process, and he was our best choice.
Cliche.
Come on.
Yeah. It made me nervous because if you noticed the timing of everything, Hugh Jackson was scheduled to meet with the Giants on Wednesday. never made it on the plane to go to New York, takes the Browns job. The Giants immediately
snap judgment.
Announce Ben McAdoo as the coach, which makes me think they had a serious chance of giving Hugh Jackson that job.
Sure.
Which scares me. Not that he's not capable, but I don't. It doesn't feel like a New York Giant to me.
It always felt like that it was going to be Ben McAdoo's job unless somebody else really blew.
That's why they brought him in there.
And this is the New York Giants. It just seems like this franchise, this organization, deserves something bigger than that. But we'll find out. You never know what's going to happen with these assistant coaches. But you do know one thing. There is a resume, and Tom Coughlin has an amazing resume now. But this week he also withdrew his name from candidacy for the Philadelphia Eagles. Did he commit career suicide?
That's a good question. It seems like a harsh term to call it career suicide, considering he's already had a long career. But I think sitting out for a 70-year-old might not be the best move. Not that he was a slam dunk to get the Eagles job.
You know how tough it is for these coaches to get back in. Holmgren is dying to get back in the NFL.
Shanahan as well. It's a really good question. I would say the odds of him getting another job, especially in 2016 and beyond, are not good.
All right, let's talk about the Mets. Last week we had Howard Megdal on, and we talked a little bit about the financial situation, and you know it's a very grim outlook right now for the Mets' finances. But I want to find out, how much rope do you think the fans are going to give the Mets ownership, especially now that Cespedes is available, and it doesn't seem likely that the Mets are even going to throw dollar number one at him?
I look at it like this. I wish the Mets fans wouldn't be so critical of the owners, and I'll tell you why. Because they were patient enough to build the team that they have now, which took them to the World Series. But for some reason, there's this irrational fear that when there's a chance to strike money-wise, that the Mets won't do it. They already did it. They did it with Cespedes last year, despite the fact that they didn't take on a lot of money. I think you couple the pitching with guys like Conforto and Darno and Duda having improved years, they're already the team to beat in the National League East.
Well, you're counting on Conforto having a better year. You're counting on those guys. Those guys have to. I mean, right now, you have to look at this Mets roster, and this team is worse than the team that went to the World Series.
Except for one thing. Cespedes was terrible in the World Series. He didn't do anything in the World Series, and that's why they win. Now, he's a big reason why they win. And by the way, I wouldn't throw out Cespedes coming back to the Mets. I thought it a couple of weeks ago.
All right, well, we will find out.
Yeah, we will.
You can hear Jay Berman weekdays on CBS Sports Radio. Jay Berman, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Look forward to it.
All right, we're going to turn